Like a good mystery? Got an eye for the detail? Always fancied yourself as the next Sherlock Holmes? Welcome to the TV show with only one question. Who done it? Armchair Detectives, the show where these 15 murder mystery enthusiasts will try and solve a deadly crime by the end of today's programme. They'll be tasked with solving a fictional murder set in Mortcliff, but don't go there on your holidays, or you might not make it out alive. Helping them is the local law enforcement team. There they are, D.I. Knight, D.C. Slater and Socko Simmons. Before we head to Mortcliff for the first time, let's meet our Armchair Detectives. Hello, Armchair Detectives.
Hi!
Only 3 of you play each day, so please take your armchairs. Toria, Ashley and Laura, come on up. Welcome, Armchair Detectives. Toria, welcome to the show. What made you want to be an armchair detective?
I, in my day job, run an escape room with my other half, Gregor, who's here today. And I'm probably more used to being the game master rather than the player, so it's nice to see it from the other side.
Well, we'll see how you do today, Toria. Ashley, what made you want to be an armchair detective?
Well, I do murder mysteries, so I am normally the murderer. Sometimes.
Deliberately?
So it's great to be on the other side.
And Laura, welcome. What made you want to be an armchair detective?
Well, it's an adventure.
It is an adventure.
It's an adventure.
It is an adventure. I think Laura's keeping her cards very close to her chest just now. Let's see what happens. As you know by now, if you guess the killer correctly, you'll get your hands on this, the golden magnifying glass won by Charlie and Simon yesterday. Now, I don't know who the killer is either, so I'm going to be playing along with you all as well. So let's begin today's investigation. It's time for round 1, the crime scene. Will Knight and Slater be bowled over by today's crime? Notepads at the ready. Let's head over to Mortcliff.
Pretty impressive. All those trophies, but they haven't beaten Parryvale in 15 years. D.I. Knight, this is D.C. Slater.
I can't believe this has happened. We were so close to winning too.
Can I ask you and everyone else to remain here until we've had a chance to speak to you all? Excuse me, I must go and speak to my forensics team.
They're in the Parryvale team's changing room.
Thank you. Afternoon, Simmons. What do you have for us?
I was told the victim became ill in the changing rooms. He then staggered out of the room, his condition worsening. Sounds like anaphylactic shock, but I'll need to confirm that.
In that case, are we looking at possible natural causes?
Doubtful, so we're dusting for prints and the usual telltale signs. But as there's no blood, no weapon...
Not much to go on, then.
Yeah, it's not exactly offering up a smoking gun.
What do we know about the deceased?
He was Patrick McMurray, 35 years of age.
Basically over the hill, then, Simmons.
Yeah, maybe in your world, Slater. Paddy Mac, as he was known, was in good physical health, no known ailments. He was one of the bowlers from the Parryvale Bowling Club. Him and his partner, Aaron, were apparently quite the star team.
Were these snacks here when you arrived?
Yeah, that and the bowling kit. Luckily, the groundskeeper had the foresight to lock these rooms as soon as the ambulance left, so no evidence was removed.
Right, we'll let you get on with it. Let us know as soon as you have something.
I was in the loo and I heard someone come in. After a few minutes it came out. It was Paddy. Didn't look too good. He was drinking water. He said he needed some fresh air. He left the room and the next thing I knew he fell. I tried to help him. James and Frank came out the other changing room. James tried to give him some basic first aid, CPR and all that. After a while, the ambulance crew arrived and took him away.
You're a teammate of Paddy's.
I was a substitute today, but I've known him for years. Played with him a lot.
Thanks for your statement, Mr. Jordan.
Sure.
Oh, don't forget your bowls.
Oh, right.
Intriguing, I think you'll agree.
The first thing that stuck out to me was the water bottles, which were labelled, and they were saying he was drinking a lot of water and then he staggered out the room, and I think they were talking about anaphylactic shock, so if he was poisoned or if there was something in the water, I think it would be easy to intentionally put it in his bottle.
There was also the raisin snacks as well, so it could have been the open carton of them rather than the water.
Because it's not clear what, if he suffered the anaphylactic shock, what he was allergic to. Let's look at today's victim. It is Patrick McMurray, affectionately known as Paddy Mac to his friends. He was 35 years old. Paddy is the star player of Parryvale Bowls Club. The cause of death is suspected anaphylactic shock, and the time of death is approximately 12:20 p.m.
Suspected anaphylactic shock. So who would know that he was allergic to something? And if he himself knew that he was severely allergic to something, why wouldn't he have, you know, the pen?
One of the EpiPens.
One of the EpiPens. And perhaps he did, and someone's away with that as well.
Well, let's look at the suspects board. So far, we have Rona Lane, the bowling club volunteer, Jonas Jordan, who's the Parryvale bowler, and we also have James Clark and Frank Taggart, but we've yet to meet them properly. Who do you have your eye on, Toria?
I would say, for now, Jonas.
Yeah?
Something obviously suspicious there. Not necessarily murder, but there's
something not quite right. Ashley, what about you?
There's something spooky about Rona. I think I'm going to go with Rona to start off with.
Something spooky about
Yes.
Laura?
Let's go with the silhouette of Frank Taggart.
Ooh. Well, it's your lucky day because I've got your first piece of evidence to look at, and it is the floor plan of the Mortcliff Bowling Club. The crime took place in the away changing room.
You got the kitchen service, and that's straight onto the home side. I would say it could be somebody from the home side, I reckon.
Well, it's time now for round 2, last movements. We'll see what happened on the day of Paddy Mac's death. Notepads at the ready. Let's head back to the Bowls Club in Mortcliff.
I've done it. Through to the county regional finals. Well played. It's great to be back.
Yeah, but we're going to have to give it everything we've got. A Mortcliff parent hasn't beaten Parryvale for the last 15 years. Not since...
Paddy Mac. He's in the Parryvale final team now.
He is indeed.
Such a pleasure to finally meet you, Frank.
Put the poor man down. This is Rona. She volunteers at the club.
Hi, Rona.
I'm sorry. I'm just such a big fan of yours. A Mortcliff Parryvale final. I can't wait to see you guys win. Anyway, lunch is served if you want it. Oh, and there are snacks and cold drinks in the changing room. Enjoy.
Don't mind me, old men.
Older and wiser.
Younger and fitter.
Yeah, your luck's bound to run out one of these years.
Food's not for me. Rona.
Lost your appetite for success. The noodles, please, Rona. pasta, please.
Didn't know you knew Gillian.
Well, I don't, well, no really. Look, I better get this down. We've only got 30 minutes. I'm going to put the kettle on. You want one?
Yeah, tea, please.
I noticed Aaron popped off. Is he going to be back for the final game?
I think I saw him on the pavilion, but even if he wasn't, Jonas is gagging to play.
Can't blame him. It was a great win. Are you nervous about facing Frank and James later?
Oh, come on, Rona. You know it's win-win for me. And you?
Rona!
Excuse me.
Jealous, is he?
After the game, I'd like to meet with the players individually, just for a quick chat, you know, before the celebrations.
Yes, we'll organise that.
Call an ambulance. Hurry! Excuse me. Can I have your attention, please? I'm very sorry to tell everyone, but Mr. McMurray died a short while ago in the hospital. I think we should pay our respects by cancelling the game.
You've got to be kidding. We were so close.
Literally nothing can stop the Mortcliff Parryvale bowling final. My words.
So we saw Rona had messed up. Clearly the menu did not have any suitable foods. But then the snack bars were nutty delights. And then, of course, Gillian with the breath freshener as well. So many things.
Ashley, what did you think?
There was a lot going on there.
Yeah.
The one thing got me is that I think still Rona. It could be that she knew the allergies he had, and all those foods had the allergy.
So what's on the menu?
So I want to see what's on the menu.
Toria, what are you thinking?
I'd love to know what's on the menu.
Yeah?
I also thought Frank and James seemed quite suspicious and competitive, but for them it seemed bad that Paddy died because that meant the game was cancelled. Maybe that wasn't part of their plan. Maybe they just wanted to knock him out and not quite kill him.
Well, let's take another look at the suspects board. We've now properly met James and Frank, and we can also add Gillian Davis, a sports agent.
I'm leaning towards Gillian at the moment.
Why?
She was the only one that walked in the direction of away.
I'm going for James.
Why?
At this point, I think he would do anything for Frank to give Frank the chance to, you know, really shine and win a trophy.
Well, you've got an evidence pick now. Which one takes your fancy? We have the lunch menu at the bowling club, or the contents of the Parryvale changing room table, and finally, the contents of Mortcliff changing room table.
Well, you know what I want to go for, the lunch menu.
I am hungry.
Yes. Should we see what's on there?
We want to see all of them, so
Yes.
we may as well start with the lunch.
menu.
Yes, agreed.
What an agreeable discussion that was. You've chosen to see the lunch menu. It's pad thai, penny pasta with tomato sauce, a selection of sandwiches. And it says these dishes were all prepared in a kitchen where nuts are present. And also, if you're interested, £1 a head, buffet menu available at the Mortcliff Bowling Club. I would not advise you have your birthday party there. So what are we thinking?
Wow, nuts. You know what I mean? It's there. He couldn't have anything on that menu.
Now, Armchair Detectives, it's time to lock in your prime suspect. Rona, Jonas, James, Frank or Gillian, please write down the name of your prime suspect now. Join in at home. Write down who you think it is. If you're sitting with a friend, hide it from them. Notepads down, please, Armchair Detectives. So, Toria, tell me, who's your prime suspect and why?
I'm going to go with Gillian. She's the only one that at least we know was in the right area at the time.
Ashley.
Rona.
Rona.
Yes.
Laura.
I am going for James.
Oh, because?
He's got the stash of nutty snack bars.
Well, now, Armchair Detectives, it's on to round 3, the police interviews. Knight and Slater have called in Rona and Jonas for further questioning. Remember, lots comes up in these interviews, so pay attention. Notepads at the ready. It's off to Mortcliff Police Station.
So you prepared food and drinks and left them in both changing rooms?
Yes, that's what we usually do. Just some cold drinks and nibbles to keep them going during the match.
And was there anything unusual about the way you prepared these snacks?
No.
Did anyone give you anything to put in the room?
No. Paddy had a special request about the kind of snacks he wanted, and he said he only wanted shop-bought ones. And I had to clearly label his bottles and food with his name.
Witnesses say you walked to the changing room with Paddy during lunch.
Yes, until James eyeballed me. He wasn't very happy with me chatting to Paddy.
Why is that?
James saw him as his mortal enemy. Oh, me and my big mouth.
It's all right, Rona. What happened?
James summoned me away from Paddy into his changing room. He gave me a dressing down outside and then we went in. Told me to be careful of Paddy. Said he was arrogant and selfish.
In what way exactly?
I don't know. Quite frankly, I put it down to jealousy. I agreed with him to get out of there and then left him to go on with getting ready for their match. Paddy must have stumbled out about 5 or 10 minutes later.
Was Frank Taggart in the room while James spoke to you?
He was in the loo.
Make yourself at home.
Looks like we have our smoking gun after all.
Foul play.
We found traces of peanut in McMurray's water bottle. It's true that some foods can be produced in factories where nuts are present, but not where water's bottled. We checked his medical records and guess what?
He has a peanut allergy.
Spot on.
The poor guy drinks his water and...
We have a murder on our hands. Thanks, Simmons.
Jonas, did you have a heated exchange with Mr. McMurray before lunchtime on the day of his death?
Oh, come on. Really? Paddy's teammate Aaron wanted to nip off between games to have lunch with his missus. It's unprofessional. And he's doing it all the time. Yet he still makes the first team. I just think it's unfair, and I was explaining that to Paddy. It wasn't him I was mad at.
That's interesting, if it's true.
You accuse me of lying?
No, I'm merely suggesting that you, as first substitute, wouldn't have been able to play if Aaron had turned up. And with Gillian Davis around...
It's hardly a reason to kill my friend.
Maybe you weren't trying to kill him, just make him ill enough not to play. Then you would win a place in the team, qualify, and who knows where your career might go from there.
You've known him for years. You must have known about his peanut allergy.
I did. But he didn't want anyone to know. The idiot thought it would make him look weak. He was a real stickler about what he ate and what was put into food to make sure he didn't have an accident.
You had access to his water bottle, right?
I want to see my solicitor.
I'll be honest with you, Armchair Detectives. I've played lawn bowls in the past and it's never been this competitive.
Well, the water bottle.
Yes.
That was the first thing I said. The water bottle was actually on the side. The two people that knew about the nut allergy was Jonas and Rona. Who did they tell?
Who did they tell? Toria.
Ashley's starting to sway me towards Rona. She was one of the two people. She was one of the two people that knew about the allergy, but it was also the way she dropped in the, oh, well, James didn't like me chatting to Paddy. Oh, me and my big mouth. Kind of like,
right,
really?
Okay.
Really?
Well, Armchair Detectives, you've got another piece of evidence to pick now. What are you going to go for? You can have the contents of the Paddyvale changing room table, the contents of Mortcliff changing room table, or a new piece of evidence, which is the changing rooms, entrance and exits.
Well, the changing room entrance and exits.
We've already got that, haven't we?
Yeah, we've sort of seen that from the plan.
I think we shouldn't discard. I've got a funny feeling about the changing room entrance and exit.
To be fair, we didn't see windows on that plan.
That's true, yes, no windows.
What would you like to see, Armchair Detectives?
I think we're going for the changing room entrance and exits.
Changing room
Yes.
entrance and exits.
Yes.
Ashley has got his way again. Let's see it then. Changing room entrance and exits. This features all access points to changing rooms. Both changing rooms are identical.
Is that a lock on the inside?
That's what I thought.
That is the toilet door lock.
Yeah.
But it's a safety feature where you can lock it from the unlock it from the outside.
use a coin to turn
Yes,
it.
the coin, yeah. So who had a coin?
Why is the toilet door locked if there's no one in it right now?
That's true.
Frank was in there.
So he either climbed out of a window or they locked it from the outside. But what would be the benefit?
They could have locked it from the inside because he was, according to Rona, in the changing room bathroom at the time.
That's correct.
I've never discussed toilet locking this intensely before.
That's the joy of Armchair Detectives, ladies and gentlemen. Well, guys, it's time to pick up your notepads again and choose your prime suspect. So you can have Rona, Jonas, James, Frank, or Gillian. Who are you going to go for? Now, Toria, last time you identified Gillian as your prime suspect. Have you changed your mind?
I'm leaning towards Rona now.
Why have you gone for her?
It was a couple of things she said in the interview. It sounded like she was almost setting up James to be framed, and she was a big fan of Frank. Now, with her knowledge of the peanut allergy, maybe she was trying to make Paddy, get the names right, Paddy ill enough so that Frank got a chance.
OK. Ashley, again, still Rona.
Yeah.
Any evidence yet to back up your suspicions?
I do think that she is trying to set up other people, so I just don't trust her.
Laura, last time you went for James. Have you changed your mind?
No, I'm staying with James so far.
OK.
Because I'm waiting on more evidence for the plots that are coming out in the background.
Well, now it's time for round 4, Dig Deeper. We're going to an event at a bookshop 2 weeks before Paddy Mack's death.
There you go.
Please make it out to Paddy Mack. Well, that photo was taken a long time ago, wasn't it?
Hello there.
Are you still mad at me after all these years?
Why would I be? It was only beginner's luck.
Ouch.
You finished?
Hello, Gillian. It's lovely to see you again.
The arrogance of youth, eh? It's good, though. My name's Gillian Davis. You may not know me, but...
Gillian, of course I know who you are. Only the best sports agent in Scotland.
Oh, thank you. Will you be playing in the invitational tournament for Mortcliff?
Oh, no. Flattered you thought I might be, but I'm getting on.
They're sorely lacking experience like yours in the game this year. And don't forget, Commonwealth Games coming up, as well as other international fixtures. It's a good year for lawn bowls, and I'm on the hunt. I'll be at the tournament in a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll see you there.
I want to help. But I just don't understand why.
Look, we're not due to meet Mortcliff till the final, so it might not even happen. Just place the bet. I'll give you the money, you give me the slip. When we win, I'll give you a little something.
I've never gone into one of those betting places before.
There's 500 in it for you.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, OK. But I really don't understand. Wouldn't you be betting against...
Shh. Don't worry yourself, darling. OK?
Train every night, but I'd be willing to take a few hours off to meet. Just name the time and place.
Frank Taggart, the honour's all mine.
Nice to meet you.
James Clark. I play bowls for Mortcliff, your old club. Love the book. Laughed like a train. His photograph.
That's from my student days in America. Skint, but the parties were wild. We used to smuggle booze into the clubs. Read the book. It will show you the way.
I'll get on that. Listen, Frank. The regional qualifiers are coming up soon, and my regular playing partner is not well. And I came here today really to ask if you fancied pairing with me. Our subs are not up to it, and, well, I really need to win.
Really?
The man who caused the Mortcliff curse? His pairing lost when the bowl slipped out of his hand in the very last end. Mortcliff haven't beaten Parivale since. But you know that bit.
15 years ago.
Relive it every day of your life, I bet, pal. Thanks for signing the book.
Count me in.
What are the chances of Scotland's leading sports agent living in Mortcliff?
Well, I think James is, finally inching his way closer to the suspect thing, because his face when, was it Paddy was mocking Frank for the curse. Oh, he wasn't happy.
The notorious curse of Mortcliff Bowling Club. We've all heard about it. Hands up, who wants another piece of evidence? OK, then. So you get to pick one of these. You can have the contents of the Parivale changing room table. You can have the contents of Mortcliff changing room table. And a new piece of evidence is the forensics report from Parivale and Mortcliff changing rooms.
I'm going to be the gentleman and I'm going to let the ladies decide this time.
Now, you are being a gentleman, but it's also because you chose the last one.
You caught me out, what can I say?
Toria, you start us off.
The question is, why is the Parivale table up there? Why,
shall we look
why
at the
contents
Parivale?
of that important?
Because he would have got it from the Parivale table. So let's go for the Parivale table then.
Well, it's a discussion, Ashley. Thanks for letting them choose. Ladies, you have to agree with this. Which one would you like?
The Parivale, please.
Parivale?
Yep.
Yes.
So these are the contents of the Parivale changing room table. As you can see there, the bottle of water with Paddy on it, some biscuits, tea, kind of a washcloth, I would say, with JC on it, and a knife on its own.
I'm drawn to the half-eaten biscuit.
I'm actually looking next to it at the boxes of what might be fruit and nuts.
Ah, yes.
I can
And
see
the
raisins,
water,
but-
and the water bottle.
Yeah.
So it's all together. And then the knife could have been used to crush the nuts, to put in the water, and that's what killed him.
I can tell you now, Armchair Detectives, it's my favourite time again, because you need to write down who your prime suspect is. So, you can have Rona, Jonas, James, Frank or Gillian. You have a minute to write down your prime suspect, starting now. Notepads away, please, Armchair Detectives. Victoria, last time you said your prime suspect was Rona. Have you changed your mind?
I'm sticking with Rona for now.
Ashley, last time you also went for Rona. Have you changed your mind?
Yes.
Yo, my goodness! None of us thought that was ever going to happen. Who have you gone for this time?
James.
James, why?
I think he's got a bit of darkness behind him.
Laura, last time you went for James. Who have you gone for this time?
I've stuck with James so far. I'm starting to think he might be being set up. So long as there's another chance to change my mind before...
There's one more chance. Well, Armchair Detectives, it's round 5, the final clues. This is your last chance to try and crack the case. Let's take a look.
Why let me leave if you're going to pull me back in? I've told you everything I know.
Apparently not, Rona. Seems you underestimated the bookies.
I'm sorry?
Mortcliff bookmakers have just made us aware of a CCTV image of you walking into their shop.
A bookie contacted you about my wee bet?
Well, when someone new walks in off the street and places a substantial bet and then something unusual happens...
Like a competitor dies and it leads to a huge payout, they'd let us know.
Paddy asked me to do it.
He wanted to bet against his own team?
Yes.
Why ask you to do it?
I suppose he knew I would. I wanted James to win anyway, so the money was just a bonus.
Well, if you'd pulled it off, it would have paid out thousands.
But the bet was declared void after Paddy unexpectedly died and the match was called off, so I'm afraid the money remains out of your grasp.
Oh, honestly, it's not what you think.
Look, I know what you're thinking. Our side hasn't won. 15-year grudge, a knock off an opponent to get revenge. That didn't happen.
If you say so, Mr. Clark. But why was your towel in the victim's team changing room?
I have no idea. Well, I didn't put it there. Someone else must have.
Were you jealous of Paddy?
Why would I be?
Well, you and Rona were close and you didn't like how friendly she was getting with him.
No. I didn't want him to manipulate her.
But isn't that what you were doing? Manipulating Rona by bossing her about. You felt threatened that you weren't the centre of her attention.
Listen, I was not threatened by Paddy Mac. You're barking up the wrong tree.
And what tree should we be barking up, Mr. Clark?
Well, I don't know. Who stood to benefit from him being out? Jonas? Gillian? Not me. I wanted to beat him, not kill him.
I'm inclined to believe he doesn't know how his dowel got there, that he is now the victim of an elaborate sting operation.
With him being killed off, nobody would get the money. So now I'm sort of going that there's somebody, like Laura said, pulling the strings.
Mm-hmm. I'm back to Gillian.
Right.
I think she might have been Paddy's agent in the past, which means she probably would have known about the nut allergy.
Well, Armchair Detectives, with just 2 pieces of evidence left, which one do you want to pick? You can have the contents of the Mortcliff changing room table or the forensics report from the Paddyvale and Mortcliff changing rooms.
I think it should be the forensic, because the reason I say that will tell us what he died of. And I think that's the one. I'll let you ladies decide.
If we go for the contents of the Mortcliff table, then we can solve it without forensics.
Ooh.
I like that challenge.
I like that challenge as well.
Claim. What would you like to
Forensic.
see?
Forensic.
Forensic.
Yes.
Forensic. This is the forensic report from the Paddyvale and Mortcliff changing rooms. Material from Paddyvale team were found on the benches, sinks and walls. There was DNA found inside the toilet cubicle belonging to Jonas Jordan. No DNA was found inside the toilet cubicle. DNA found outside handle of toilet door is a match for Frank Taggart. Helpful?
No.
Why was Frank locking someone in a toilet?
That's a good point, yeah.
Or was he trying to make it look like he was in the toilet and actually locked it from the outside and then was hiding somewhere?
It could have been James.
There was no DNA inside the toilet, so he's
Just
been
the
seen
outside.
in there, so he was obviously making a rush for the bathroom door as if he had just come out instead of having interfered with whichever was on the table.
Armchair Detectives, the moment has arrived to make your final decision. Get it right and you'll win our golden magnifying glass. I need you to write down the name of the person you are accusing. It's time to answer the only question that matters. Who done it? Pens down, pads to the side. Who are you accusing, Toria?
Frank.
Why Frank?
He probably knew that James was eating nuts. He knows Paddy from about 15 years ago, so he's likely to have known about the allergy. He didn't want to come back to the sport. He was convinced to by James. And the toilet door.
The DNA?
Yes.
Okay. Ashley, who do you accuse?
Gillian.
Gillian. Why?
It was something Toria said to me, and I completely flipped it around. And what it was, she had the opportunity to do it, and she was the only one who could gain from it, because the others, I think James was going to be framed, and I think it's Gillian.
Laura, who are you accusing?
I switched to Frank.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm considering the position of Gillian.
But you have
being
accused
perfect.
Frank.
But I have accused
You've
Frank.
accused
I
Frank.
can only apologise to him.
Why did you accuse Frank?
Well, I had been with the idea of James all along. And as Toria said, there's a lot of history. But it was the last-minute change.
So to confirm, Toria has accused Frank, Ashley has accused Gillian, and Laura has accused Frank. Before we go back to Mortcliff for the answer, you've got one more piece of evidence to look at. Will it support your conclusions or would it change your opinions? Let's have a look at it. The final piece of evidence is the contents of the Mortcliff changing room table. Water bottles, one with the cap off. A coin. What do you think the coin means?
That the toilet door was locked from the outside.
Armchair Detectives. What really happened in today's story, Derby Day Death? Who killed Paddy Mack? Let's find out who done it.
Any good?
Illuminating. What have you got?
Well, Simmons has made DNA comparisons with all the suspects in both changing rooms and has found something quite curious.
Let's bring him in.
So I finished my meal in the changing room. Then I popped out for a quick orange juice with James. Then I went to the toilet. Paddy collapsed soon after that.
Can James corroborate that?
Of course he can.
Actually, I don't think he can. See, our forensics found something quite curious. Your DNA was found on the outside of the Mortcliff toilet door handle and not on the inside.
So?
So that would suggest that you didn't actually enter the toilet cubicles.
Are you calling me a liar? James had far more reason to do Paddy than I did.
How old are you, Mr. Taggart?
Almost 60. You think I'd risk spending my old age in prison?
Oh, I don't think you intended to kill Mr. McMurray. I think you wanted to make him too ill to play. So you're almost 60. You've had some moderate success?
Phenomenal success.
You resent your age.
In your book, you speak of your college days in America with longing. I remember reading a bit where you mention a trick to smuggle alcohol into clubs. A sealed bottle is dipped into boiling water. The entire lid briefly expands and can then be removed with the seal ring still intact.
I put it to you, Mr. Taggart, that you rigged the toilet door in your changing room to make it appear as if you were in the cubicle. You then submerged Paddy's clearly labelled water bottle in boiling water and took the cap off. You sneaked into the Parry-Vale changing room with James Clark's towel so that if ever there was an investigation, it would incriminate him.
You saw Paddy at lunch and deduced that he was allergic to nuts. You opened his water bottle and put the peanut crumbs from your lunch into his water. You then replaced the lid with yours as though it had never been removed. You then went back into the changing room, unlocked the toilet door and emerged anticipating victory.
A victory which I imagine would have impressed Gillian enough to ensure your career enjoyed a small resurgence.
You've got no proof.
And you've got no alibi. If you weren't in the toilet, where were you? Oh, and there's the ring seal that was missing from a water bottle in your changing room, along with the cap. You cornered Frank.
Okay. Fine. He kept rubbing my face in it. He kept going on and on about something that happened 15 years ago, the vain, self-serving pain in the neck.
Frank Taggart, I'm arresting you for the murder of Patrick McMurray.
I can tell you, as an ex-lawyer, I've never encountered a town full of people as easy to admit murder in my entire life. Well, all right then, I did it. You're absolutely correct. Well done. What do you think? That it was about the toilet door? It was about the toilet door!
Yeah.
Ashley, how are you feeling?
Well done, ladies. I completely we should have gone for the contents. I think that would have persuaded me to go for Frank. But yeah, well done.
Well, congratulations to Toria and Laura. You both picked the killer and are today's winners, winning your first golden magnifying glass. Bad luck, Ashley. Armchair Detectives, hands up, how many of you got it right? They always say that. Only Roger is the honest one. Come back tomorrow when Knight and Slater discover a devious crime in a forest. And remember, no one gets away with murder in Mortcliff. Goodbye.